me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
Hey there, Street Soldiers. This is Lady Estelle and the Street Soldier crew, and we are back to spend another Sunday evening with you. Your host this evening is glad to see that we are still here. We are healthy, we are alive and free. And Mike, what a great introduction. Thank you.
I learned from the best.
Good evening, everyone. Alive and Free Street Soldiers Radio. Here we are once again. You know what we do? We work hard to keep everybody alive and free. It's that simple. It's alive, unharmed by violence, free from incarceration, no horror stories, all good stuff. That's what we're about. Got another great show for you tonight. We're going to be visited by a wonderful, wonderful longtime colleague in the work. We're going to introduce him, and I love when he's around. I love the brother. I love what he does. And, first got to say hello to everybody else and do the news, and then we will, as always, get into it. So Lady E is not in the studio tonight. She is.
I'm in the land of virtual street soldiers.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
If you want to see us online, where can they follow us online at?
Facebook.com/Stay Alive and Free. Facebook.com/Stay Alive and Free. They can also download the iHeart app and watch on the phone. That's what somebody I watch on the phone, Doc. I watch on the phone. And if you have anything you want to respond to tonight via phone call into the show, 877-955-1061, 877-955-1061. I've been told by some, man, you don't get a number enough. You give a number enough. 877-955-1061. And with that, let's say hello, Ann. Hello, Mike. You back? What were you doing last? You celebrate. It was Mike's birthday last week. Let's give him some
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Bang, bang, Leo gang.
Yeah. So you're going to say your age, man?
I'm 39 years old.
Oh,
all right.
There, bro.
All right.
What you mean I'm almost there? What you trying to say?
I don't trust you no more.
Okay.
You said not a problem because then nobody trusts you before. Is that what it is?
I'm pretty trustworthy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a good guy.
39.
What were you saying, Malcolm?
Oh, I said that she ain't trying to say anything. You almost there, brother. Next year, you got one more year, brother.
I'm gonna invite y'all to my. I'm gonna do a different type of party. I'm gonna do like a private affair. So y'all gonna be invited.
Yes.
Ooh.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have Lady Estelle do the introduction.
All right.
Hey, how your 30s been, Mike?
Oh man, I'm gonna tell people right now, man. The 30s is when you young, you think the 30s is one thing. When you 30, the 30s is lit. The 30s was lit, man. I had one thing I tell people, like people be talking about me, right? They'll say whatever, but I'm like, man, I did what I wanted to do. I always wanted to talk on 106.1 KMEL. So
Oh yeah.
Okay.
it's one
Yeah.
thing to fulfill your real dream. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
So
yeah.
I did that.
That happened in the 30s. Okay.
Yeah.
What
Well,
you-
you know, I was here before. Don't
I
try
know
to play
that.
me, Dr. Martin.
Oh man, I'm
Dr.
just saying. I'm just stop. So what you looking forward to in the 40s?
To be like you, be like your son and get a degree or two. I'm still working on my head. Y'all doctors.
I ain't nothing, so
Still
don't
got
worry
to go to
about
Laney
don't
and
include me in
C
there.
College.
All things in time, bro.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
well, the 40s gonna be good. I'm telling you, man.
Thank you.
I've
Thank
done
you.
that. I've been there.
It just gets, Mike, it just gets more lit. Trust me.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Light it up. What's up with you, Soul?
You know, it does keep getting more lit. The only thing for me is you keep seeing people and you like, damn, they look young. or you go places you used to go and you be like, why am I the oldest person in this place? Okay, it's time for me, little things like that. But hey, it's a blessing every day in life that we have to wake up here on planet Earth.
is.
So congratulations and happy
Thank
birthday
you.
to you.
Yeah.
Make the most of every day.
Yes, sir.
What's up, Doc?
Dog, I'm good, man. We got any news? What you got in the news? Let's get Trump
You know,
indictment.
it was a big news week in the US of A. And of course, dominated by the one man who always seems to dominate the news. But this time it was news I like. It wasn't news he likes, it was news I like. So
Oh man.
you want to start there with another indictment?
No, that's all you gotta
That
say.
is
That's
good.
the end of the news right there. Another indictment. That's it.
Another indictment, yeah, but the sister in Georgia,
Yeah.
she's not playing.
No, she ain't playing. She ain't
She's
playing.
not playing. She's
None
not
of-
playing.
none of them
Mm-mm. He having nightmares about her.
Yeah.
I missed
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
Did y'all talk about the Montgomery?
Oh,
Nobody
yeah.
really wanted to talk about it, you know.
yeah,
Y'all
that's-
talk
that's-
about that last week?
That's over with, man.
I tried, you know, I sent Doc some folding chairs, but you know, other than that,
But you ain't what you want to say, man.
That's
Go
how
on.
you stay alive
Get it
and
in.
free. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I can say a whole lot about that whole, but I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna let
Got
it go.
you. Got you.
No, it was what it was, right?
Yes, sir.
It was what it is. What it was.
Right.
Yeah, Trump indictment. It's done. Okay, we'll have to see what plays out, you know, as it is.
it's nice to see Rudy Giuliani get one too. I can't, you know, it's just nice for me personally because he was
Man,
annoying me too.
Oh, yeah. He, man,
I didn't understand him.
he don't understand himself.
He did so much in the 90s to kind of like mess up whatever.
Oh, he was the mayor.
And then when he
was-
became the
yeah,
what he like he was defending. I'm like,
he went
that's
all,
very crooked.
he went all the way, man.
Yeah.
He just, you know, he sold himself to the devil. That's the way I put it.
Speaking of New York City, Doc, do you see that second news story I sent you?
No, sir. Go ahead with it.
A young lady, she's from Queens, New York. You might have known Queens from Coming to America, but she's a Queens native, 18-year-old, and she announced that she's making history. She's become the youngest certified pilot in New York State.
Oh, wow.
And she's only 18 years old.
Wow.
And she's a girl, and you know that's something I'll be honest. It's like a fantasy. I'm too scared to do, but I would love to do is fly a plane. But you know, I can barely sit on a plane.
Me
I'm gonna keep it
too.
real.
You could do that, Mike.
I'm
Yeah.
not flying with her. She
You're not flying with her?
No, I'm going
Why
to
not?
the most experienced pilot. Man, you ain't finna be landing me in the
Come on,
bay
man.
right outside
Hey, well,
the Gate Bridge.
they-
Oh, I don't know what happens.
You
It function.
certified.
You can't start getting experience till you
No.
get your license. So
I'm
she
happy
got
for
hers
her.
now,
I'm happy
and
for
she's
her,
ready to
You ain't
go.
flying.
Yeah.
but I'm not flying with her.
Okay. Okay. Wait, let me ask you something. Would you ever jump out of a plane, man?
With
No, I mean, you're like some people got, you know, they get this list, right, of things they like to do.
I would do that.
The
Okay,
bucket list.
I kind of would rather do that than bungee jump because I'm scared of the rope might break. If I'm a fall, I'm gonna go all out, man. Let's go.
Yeah, 30,000 feet. You ain't tripping. 15,000 feet.
I'd rather do that than because
and bungee jump. Okay.
it's like you get 2-3 minutes with the bungee jump. If you fall and break, you just gonna hit rocks on the floor. But at least I get to see the view. My thing messed up, it just messed up. But I got like 2 minutes to prepare.
What y'all? I got guessing. I got to ask them. What y'all think? What would you rather do? Bungee jump or jump out of a plane? Go ahead, Jonathan. What you gonna say? You jumping out of the plane?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. What you gonna do, Winston?
With the parachute, of
I
course.
think jumping out the plane.
Jumping out of the plane. Okay. Ashanti?
Yeah, I went skydiving before.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah.
Was it cool?
Oh, it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was on the list, but it was the most amazing thing.
Would you
Wow.
do it again?
Yeah, I would do it again.
Oh,
I'm a little too heavy right now. No one wants to be attached to me right now. So there's a weight limit to attach to somebody, you know. But I
Oh,
would,
that's why you get somebody. So you didn't jump by
Tandem.
yourself. You
Oh
had
no,
somebody-
tandem.
Can't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You gotta do like 50 jumps.
Yeah, you can't go by yourself. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Then once you get certified, you can go by yourself.
I ain't jumping on no plane, man.
What if a girl flying a plane?
Yeah,
Ariel Messam is her name.
The one
By the way.
that was just certified.
I mean, she could fly.
Miss
out,
Ariel
but
Messam.
she on the plane.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
But you're not jumping off.
No. I mean, if I had to, like, planes going down, I've had to jump.
So you smarter than me. You a doctor.
I don't know about that. All right. So you saw the East Bay police officers arrested in an FBI raid, and it's funny because we just did our show last week on police
Not funny.
accountability and reform. Just last week, and just this week, multiple officers in the East Bay were arrested during a raid Thursday by the FBI. The FBI.
You know, it was hard to read that because you're not used to seeing those words put together in a sentence like that. So I had to read it 3 or 4 times. FBI raid officers arrested. You don't really see that very often. And you almost think like, you just feel like it won't happen even if they are guilty. So it's actually nice to see.
The FBI's roundup of officers from the Antioch and police Pittsburgh departments came after an 18-month investigation into an alleged criminal network. Some of the officers were scheduled to appear in federal court last Tuesday morning. The FBI, in the course of the FBI investigation over the past year and a half, feds seized the officers' cell phones and stumbled upon racist and homophobic tests between dozens of Antioch cops.
Wow.
A judge is now trying to decide if those things about the state's Racial Justice Act. So remember the question we asked last week, Ann, was since Ferguson, Missouri, since Michael Brown, have we made progress when it comes to police accountability and reform? And the answer in some aspects, to be honest with you, was yes. And then you get something like this, which, no. But we all agreed that we have a lot to do. But this one was so close.
So they put up on them like they just raided their houses?
Yeah.
Like
I don't know the details. That's what I was kind of thinking in my mind too. But
so my question is literal. You remember Goodfellas?
Yeah.
They pull up on them like Ray Liotta?
I don't know.
Okay.
we don't know. It wasn't on camera, but
Gotcha.
they are indicted. They got arrested and they're indicted. So they're gonna have to spend some time in front of the judge.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and if you were seeing the things they said, they put, they said some very, very foul. And this, I'm familiar with this because they did this in San Francisco. And, when I was on the commission and we had to deal with it, but it's hard to believe in 2020. I keep saying that, but it's America, right? It's America. It's America. It's America. So we'll see if they get, indicted, kick off the force, the whole bit. They should be. It's easy, and you let them go.
We got a caller.
We do?
We have an early caller.
We got an early caller?
Yeah.
We ain't even did the subject yet. Okay. All right. Well, who we got? All right. Caller. Who we got?
So somebody from Antioch, hopefully.
Caller,
Hello?
you on? Yes?
Hello.
Yes. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good in yourself, thank you.
I'm fine. What is, we haven't started the topic yet, so what is it that you want to say?
I just want to let my grandson know that I'm very proud of him.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh.
Well, tell us who your grandson is.
Johnathan Pugh. I'm not exactly sure what the
introduce him yet, and you calling.
Right.
Yeah, that's a grandmother. See, that's a grandmother for him.
That's love right there.
Heard my baby's name yet, so I'm calling. I'm announcing myself. Well, thank you so much. Oh wow, thank you. Tell us something about him, because then we're gonna have to introduce him. Go right ahead. Go ahead, Grandma.
Well, Jonathan is my oldest grandchild.
Mm.
He is my heart. I was there when he was born.
Wow.
He's very smart, very intelligent. Jonathan can, when I tell you he can fix anything.
Really?
I'm not just saying that because I'm his grandmother, but yes, I've seen him take all kind of things apart, from vacuums to toys. I mean, you name it.
Wow.
He can put it
Old
together.
school.
Desk,
Well, Jonathan,
computer, yes.
you a handy boy, a handy man, handy young man?
He's
Really?
handy young man.
All right. Yeah, she put you out there. You might get some. You might get some
job.
referrals tonight.
Get some
Yeah,
gigs.
for real.
Ask
Put them
Rabbit.
on Craigslist.
That is wonderful. Oh wow.
He's an artist. You can show him a picture and he can draw it.
Oh, wow.
Anything you
Most
can't do?
importantly, is he saved.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's Sunday, so it's
Definitely.
good. Wow. Well, tell us your name. Tell us your name.
My name is Felicia Love.
Okay. Oh my God. Say hello to your grandmother, John. Ah,
Hi, grandson.
yeah. Grandmother's special, man. I love my grandmother.
That's wonderful.
Grandmother's
Grandmothers are the best.
Yeah, grandmother's a special, man. Me and my grandmother was tight, so I love this, man. Oh well, you can call back, later on if you hear something to say, because we're gonna get into the show and hear what Jonathan has to say. He's on here for a reason with a couple other people, but that was very nice of you to do. Very nice of you, Grandma. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. That
That's
was
sweet.
nice. Oh my
That's
God.
wonderful.
That nice lady.
That's
Grandma,
wonderful.
yeah, that was beautiful.
That's wonderful.
All right. Well,
Hey, Doc,
Yes, sir.
just as we finish up the news segment here, I was trying to buy BET. They didn't accept my offer. They said my offer was a little low, but but I guess they said the same thing to Tyler Perry and Byron Allen and Diddy as well, because it looks like BET is not for sale anymore. And I know for a little bit, folks thought Tyler Perry was going to be able to pull it off, but not for sale. And
Wow.
he will
Shaq
stay.
and 50 Cent tried to buy it too.
He did, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who owns it now? I know Robert Johnson sold it years ago. Who you selling? to?
Yes, Paramount, whoever Paramount Global is, I don't know.
Viacom Cable owns them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Because they the same people that own BT on VH1 and MTV.
But I think Paramount Global owns all of them. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Remember back in the day, VH1 used to play hella Prince videos. Y'all remember that? Madonna. Y'all remember that?
Of course we remember that.
You see, they don't remember that. They used to give VH1 a Love and Hip Hop. They used to be playing Michael Bolton videos.
Lord. All right, let's get into the show. Grandma has called in and said, let's get into the show.
Yep.
Tonight, got a very, very special, I call him, friend is not colleague. That's the best word. I bet over him, Mr. Ashanti Branch. Mr. Ashanti Branch.
That's a great brother right there.
Does a lot of work around men and boys and masculinity. And it's his life's work. And anybody to me that puts their lives into something that's going to benefit our young people.
Yeah.
And the women, everybody, I'm like 100%. If you can go over 100%, let me go 150% on board. Ashanti, once again, good to see you. Good to hear you. I got to catch up with you, and I know you are continuing to do what you're, So I always go back to the fact that people hear the show for the first time. They say, "Who is Ashanti Branch?" I don't know who he is, and Mike hasn't met you, so we got to go back to the beginning. Just talk about the work that you do, and we'll talk about how we met and how the work is continuing to move forward. Right?
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad to be here again, and thanks for everybody. I'm Ashanti from Oakland, California. Ever Forward Club started in 2004. I'm born and raised in Oakland. I never wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be rich, and teaching called me. And
now that we have in common. I want to be rich. teaching called me. So
Oh,
yeah, I knew
man.
there's something else there. Okay, yes.
And I think that the hard part about leaving engineering to go to become a teacher was because I knew teachers didn't get paid. My mom was a teacher. So, and I made a promise when I couldn't get into this program called Upward Bound because they said, "Oh no, this is for first generation college." And I said, "Hey, we poor. I'm definitely first generation." They're like, "Well, your mom filled out on this paper that she's a teacher." I said, "What does that mean?" They said, "Well, that means she went to college." And I'm like, "There's no way. There's no way my mom went to college and we this broke." And what I realized was that I was, I had this missed idea that what would happen if you go to college is that you would live happy ever after. And so it was a challenge. So went to college, graduated in engineering, came back home, started making money. And then I was absolutely confused that I wasn't happy like I should be, or like I thought I should be. I thought the happy ever after was not just happy hour. I thought it was like happy all the time. That's what I thought I had worked so hard for, you know? And then teaching called me. I got the opportunity to tutor at Upward Bound. And that tutoring at Upward Bound led to this fire turning on. And then I was clear that I should be a teacher. And I ran from it. When the first calling happened, I ran. So I went to I got a new job making more money. I was driving like an hour and a half each way to work because I was chasing money. I never understood why people would drive that much to work. And then I realized, oh, I'm doing it too. And after that, I started teaching at San Lorenzo High School. I went to Mills College for my credential and my master's in education. And that first year teaching, I'm doing a horrible job. I'm failing horrible. I'm failing because I think there are smart kids in my class, these young men in my class who are failing algebra. Now I love math. Now, they didn't have to like math. I was telling them, like, you can do math. So you don't have to love math. Just know that in order to graduate, you got to be able to pass algebra. Like, that's a requirement. So most of them at their 14-year-old selves, they didn't know they were sabotaging their 18-year-old selves, right? Because being an immature freshman, you'd be like, I don't care about this class, but when you become 18 and you haven't passed it, that's going to cause you not to graduate. So I was trying to help them see that they were setting themselves up for a big surprise in a few years. And so that first year teaching, I just said, look, I'm about to go back and make money. Like I signed up knowing that I was going to be a little broke financially. I wasn't going to be broke and a failure. You know what I mean? Like I like that. I was both. I was like making
you do both, right?
Can I just, if I'm going to be successful, then great. I'll take the pay cut, but to be pay cut and now I got kids in my class who are actually brilliant. I could tell how smart these young men were. They were smarter than I was at their age. And I'm like, look, you're too smart to be failing my class. I like you. There's plenty of these teachers here at this school who don't like you. I know them. They tell me all the time they don't like you. Man. So fail their class. Don't fail my class. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, pass my class because I got you. I'm here. I'll stay late. I'll come early. What do you need? But don't fail my class over you just not giving your best. And so the Ever Forward Club was born out of these questions and me like saying, look, I'm going to go back and make money or I'm going to figure it out. And so the last effort was start this club. And so I said, look, I'll buy you all lunch once a week. In exchange for lunch, like you teach me to be a better teacher. Like, what am I doing wrong? Because I know the math. I love math. It wasn't that I didn't know the math, but I needed to figure out, I need to flip it on his head. Like, I couldn't be like, let me teach you more math at lunch. No, it was like, what am I doing wrong as a teacher to help you be successful? Because you can do it if you were willing to do it.
Wow.
And that's beautiful. That's how Ever Forward Club started.
Yeah, people don't really get. Teachers don't make no money. Let me just say that they really don't. It.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because I'm in sales, and so in sales, when you do sales, you get a lot of perks.
Yeah.
Oh, take it. You sell this, you take it.
Right.
You take it to Bobo's.
Right.
Take it to Fogo the Child.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Why don't they have a program for the teachers like that?
Well,
teachers do great. They could go on a expense vacation to Texas, San Diego, wherever.
I can't answer that question.
No,
I really can't. Generally, what they have is, you can, if you hit a benchmark with, your master's or your doctorate, or with so many units or with a credential, you get a bump. But in terms of just, right, that would be logical. Teachers who do a great job should be celebrated, feted, but no, they don't do that. They don't do that.
Gotcha.
Lady E, you got an answer for that?
no. I mean, why questions are almost impossible to answer, whatever the content is. But yeah, no, there are definitely no perks like what you're talking about in the world of business. In the private sector, the perks that you get is when that child that used to beat up everybody comes into your classroom and ready to learn, or instead of fighting, they come and report to you. Because I was a school counselor, I retired as a school counselor. When the bully transforms and they come in tears and Mrs. Stell, I did what you said. Let's see, now those are the benefits, and those are the priceless ones. And then when they write to you 4 years after they've been in elementary school because they remember. Now that's the super perk. So the perks come, but they're just, you can't go nowhere with it. You can't take a trip. You can't get on the plane, but you do fly high from the love that you get from the kids whose lives you change and transform.
Wow.
And the tough thing about it, I almost call it an industry. I want to say the profession loses people like Ashanti. They lose people like it. They don't value them like they should.
No.
Good teachers should be, I mean, everything. They're everything, right? I mean,
my favorite teachers, you never forget your favorite teacher.
Right.
You never forget.
No,
They change
never
the way
forget
you think. All of that.
Everything.
It opens your mind up.
Well, sometimes
You don't think like school is important, but then it's this one teacher that teaches you like, man, you need literacy. You need this. It's deeper than what I'm just teaching you.
Well, imagine if you had a whole profession full of people like that. You know, unfortunately, these are the exceptions, right? The Lady Estelle, you know, the Dr. Marshalls, the Ashanti Branches, with exception, right? So I'm glad you stayed. Obviously, you made the decision to stay. You're working with the young people. What got you deeper? Because you know, teach. Because I was a math teacher. I mean, that's funny. I forget all this. What the parallels here. I was a math teacher. I love teaching math, but there was something else going on, right? And I remember for me, I'm going to our guests in a minute. I remember for me, for my two young people, is that the young people's their bodies were there, but their minds were somewhere else, right? There was something else going on that wasn't being addressed that actually affected what they were learning in my class, right? And so I had to go deeper, and that led me into the work that I do. But what was it as it began? I didn't pay nobody lunch, you know.
Well, I had to.
No, I understand completely.
Would you imagine if you meet
I
them,
understand completely.
But
and you were in high school, right?
I was high school.
You're high
yeah.
school. I was middle school. Yeah.
My student teaching was in middle school, and then I realized where I needed to be and San Lorenzo was doing some amazing things around math education, so I went there. So two things happened. 2007, I got the opportunity to do a Fulbright fellowship in India. I went to India.
What's India like?
India was amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It was hot,
amazing.
but it was beautiful,
Yeah.
and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I think what I learned there was that, I mean, the first day of class, I walk in, the students stand up and greet you. So in India, students own the classrooms, teachers walk from class to class. So the teachers don't own rooms. Like it's like
the teachers switch class.
Yeah, students stay in the same room all day.
Same room.
It's their room.
Got it.
So when you walk in, they greet you. And then the first day, the student leader came over. Her name was Baranita. She was like, "Sir, I want to introduce you to the class topper." And I was like, "Huh? The class topper? What is that?" So this guy stands up. His name is Suraj. He stands up. He's like 7 feet tall. But I guess in India, they can't be taller than a teacher. So he's trying to make himself shorter than me.
Wow.
So he's like scrunching down, like, what are you doing? Stand up, stand up. And now when he stands up, the whole class erupts like in cheering, like banging on the desk, cheering, screaming. And I'm like, what's going on here? It was almost like a rock concert.
This is in high school?
This is high school, ninth grade.
Yeah.
And now, well, I said, what does that mean? And he said, "Sir, he got the highest score on the last math test." And literally, my mind was absolutely blown.
Wow.
The fact that they cheered for him, one. The fact that it's a title there, two. That is an honor of prestige to do well.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if we can instill cheering for each other about doing well.
Right. Outside of basketball.
Outside of sports.
Right.
We can change our education for our young people.
Yeah.
And that's that was day one. So every day after that was a lot of learning and growing. But I think what went deeper after that, when I came back, I was like, what do we need to do to help our young people get fired up for learning and life?
Did this what?
Then we got like 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. Didn't it strike you how serious they take education when you were in India? How seriously everybody took it. I remember I went to school in Nigeria, and the kids sang up and greeted me with a song. That kind of stuff. Ain't nobody cussed me out. Like, oh man. So yeah, 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 yeah.
They're hungry.
They're hungry, right?
Yeah.
And when they came over here, they still hungry. So go ahead, continue, and then he's telling me to get these folks in because we get them in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean so Jonathan and Wenceslao can tell you their story for being Ever Forward. So the Ever Forward has been trying to support more educators and schools to be better serving for our young people. I think our young men and all students are incredible, but oftentimes what happens if a student is having a bad day, bad moment, a bad season, then they get relegated as bad students, as opposed to like it's a student who's going through something. And so what we try and do is give them tools to navigate what am I feeling. And if I can name it, then I can tame it. But if I don't have words for it, I'm going to turn it into something. Our community says anger is respected, or you can be funny, right?
Yeah.
There's no room for men that are sad or afraid or worried or
nope.
doubtful or shameful. Like all those things we don't give men room to even talk about, let alone to be able to express out loud. And so what happens is they turn everything into anger, or it's funny, or I don't care. Like,
wow.
And then what happens? We see.
Well, let me introduce yourselves. Go ahead. Say your name, who you are, and where you go to school, and be ready for my question. Go right ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm Wenceslao Soto. I was born in San Antonio, Texas. Grew up half of my life in Mountain View, California.
Wow.
And then the other half here in San Francisco. And I'm in high school, 10th sophomore.
Where do you go to school?
Daly City Leadership High School.
Okay,
You know about the Riverwalk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Down in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see. Okay. Jonathan?
His mic. I don't hear him.
Oh no. Did we lose him?
Mic up.
My name is Johnathan Pugh Jr.
Okay.
I attend Oakland High. I was born in Fremont, but I'm raised in Oakland, so
You from the town?
yeah.
And we know you got a great grandmother that loves you. This
Yeah.
wonderful grandmother. If I say one of the things I know we always talk about with the young people at Alive and Free Omega Boys Club, we always get their we get them in the 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and take them through. And we always want to get their feelings about their educational experience. What has school been like for them? What has it been like for you, Jonathan? Now you're in what? You say 10th grade?
No. I'm a senior.
You're a senior. Okay.
All right.
All right.
No.
Don't shortchange my brother here. Okay.
That's right.
Well, what is your from K through? What is your educational experience been like?
I would say like early, like elementary.
Mhm.
School was mostly hard because I had a lot more energy than other kids, and I didn't know how to like tame it. And then when I couldn't do what I wanted to do, then I would just be mad at everybody because I couldn't get my way. But after elementary school, it was more like Ashanti was talking about. It's either angry or funny. I wasn't really feeling anything, and since I couldn't feel anything else, I just stopped caring about what people's opinions about me, having social connections with people. So I kind of like turned off that social aspect of my life because I didn't see it as important anymore.
He and I and Lady E have seen the class clowns for years. They're in every class. Believe me, there's one in every. And that's how they deal with school, being the class clown. So I definitely understand that part. What has it been like for you?
For me, starting in preschool, I used to have really high grades, like top grades. Preschool through first grade, Mountain View, I used to have really high grades, made some really good friends. But just, when I moved here to San Francisco, starting in second grade, my grades were high, but I didn't really talk to anybody in my first year. My first days was really hard for me. Just standing there watching others play with each other. Then first year, I started meeting new people, hanging out with some more friends. And then fifth grade, I went to a private middle school, and I was, ready to, I guess, or preparing to be alone, for another like a few days. But these kids at the private middle school were more open. They invited me to their group quickly. I made really good friends in the first day, and I'm still really great friends to them now. And now in high school, I went back to public school as like a big transition. Um, I knew some people, fortunately, like one or two people at high school, but all my friends, they went to like private middle school, high schools, and I was the only one who went like to a different school alone. But knowing some people was good for me because I made friends quickly. I'm still doing really good in grades. And I think that this club helped me a lot, being more uh talking more to people.
Yeah.
This really like got me out of my comfort zone.
We're gonna talk about the work of Everforward and what it has done for you. But let me go back to this. I want to go back to the school. Do you think the school had any idea about what was going on with either of you during your journey, first
No.
through 10, first through 12?
No.
No. And you think they weren't interested? Do you think that, you wouldn't let them in? I mean, if they didn't know, why do you think they didn't know?
It was not really a priority to them. Like, even to this day, when I was starting a club at Fremont High, it's not really the interest of the principal to have students to care about their emotions. They see it as unnecessary, but they have advisory, which makes total sense. They have a whole free period where you're just talking to a teacher, talking about you and talking about your grades, but they can't have students actually getting to know each other. It's just people's priorities. It's not the school's priority to care about you. They just want to get you out. So they don't really care.
Well, you don't know how many times I've heard that. Let me just tell you that.
care.
You said the
There's
exact
nothing
words
else to
I've
say.
heard.
They don't care.
I have heard that. What about you?
I don't
Your own personal journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Based on my experience, people don't really want to know what's going on with you.
Is that the same for private and private and public school?
Yes, it can be for both. I think that school just focus on just teaching you, right? And just helping you as much as they can. But as Jonathan says, it's not their job to really make sure you're that okay mentally, with yourself.
Wow. Okay. Yes, that says a lot. And I've heard that, and she can attest to that also. I mean, I've heard young people, and the first thing they have said is they don't care. They've also said, and I don't know if this was with you, that they don't think we can do it. They really don't think we can be scholars, right? They tend to dumb everything down, and then there's a lot of other stuff, especially sometimes the ethnicity and the race of the young person comes in, or there's the perception that they don't think much of them. But to hear you say that is like, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough. And now, were you ever, I guess you're one person in a school, and schools at what, 400, 500, 600, 800,000, high school's got to be. Could you talk to each other? I mean, about it, or did you go in the bathroom and talk to each other? What? Yeah, I'm curious.
You're not. Well, from my experience, you not having people to talk to. You gonna get clowned. You ain't talking to nobody.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. What about you?
No, I don't really think so. Like high schools, public school I'm at right now, they're more just like, trying to act cool, tough and all that. And, I don't think there's really anybody to talk to. They, if you say something like, something deep from you, they just, think you're joking or make fun of you, or they use it against you, I guess you can say.
So you got all these folks walking around in their own little isolated bubbles, can we say, right?
Yeah.
But bumping into each other today, but not having real conversations about anything. Is that a way to put it?
Yeah.
Right. And would you say schools should be intentional about young people's I'm gonna use the word emotional health. Is that okay? Or I can use whatever word you want to use. Do you think they should be intentional, or do you think they're just not good at it and they ought to bring some other people in? What do you think?
Of course, they should care about how their students' mental health is doing. Because if you're not in the right headspace to even think about doing work, what makes you think you're finna succeed?
How you gonna learn?
It's not even about the work; it's about your mental. Because if you can't think about doing work or you don't feel like doing work, you're not gonna do it. And then they're gonna be like, "Oh, all these kids, they don't care about they do care about the work. They don't have the space to process what they're going through, and they're just gonna be carrying a load and they're gonna explode." So, yeah, that's just the truth. They don't have the space, so they're just gonna be judged for not having the space. It's gonna keep continuing the cycle.
So if I can just jump in, I hear two things. And one, that they're going to be judged by their instructors and clowned you're going to be judged by your instructors if you don't do the work, despite not having the headspace, and clowned by your colleagues, your peers, if you talk about what's going on in your head or in your heart.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Yes. So you don't got no wiggle room to even get started. You gotta basically adapt.
Do like when I was younger, because I was a class clown. I had a question for the instructors, you, Dr. Marshall, and Lady Estelle, as far as how did y'all deal with, like, how did you deal? What if you were dealing with like a person that was really genuinely like a little Eddie Murphy? like you get like, how do you like so some of the things I used to do is I used to clown the teacher to kind of like get it off my chest. Not to say that you feel me, like, but how do you cultivate the youngster that could be that next Bernie Mac or that next Martin Lawrence, whoever it is, but rile them in and keep them so that they don't, take over the classroom.
When they would take over the classroom.
I used to hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, they would.
Stop.
Yeah.
You're taking over the classroom.
Well, they would, because you're there to teach and they're clowning, right?
Did you ever laugh at a person that was like a kid that was legitimately a funny joke?
Laugh,
okay.
Right? Okay. Laugh, but I don't know. Johnny can talk about how you did, Mr. Starr, you did. But in the end, because they are causing a disruption in the classroom.
Right.
You got to take them aside. And for me, it was always time and place.
Got you.
It was an event. It was time and place. This is not the place. You're funny. You're good. You can be whoever you want to be, but you
not
can't
right
do
now.
that here. And if you're doing it in a place like that, there's something else going on. And and I know some of our greatest comedians had more stuff than Richard Pryor burned himself. Okay, so. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
but if you're in
He was a grown man when he did that, though.
well, yeah, but that started a long time ago.
Well, sure, right, but
yeah. But my point is, and you can talk about how you deal with it. If you're really into it, you want to know why. We want to know what's going on.
Okay, got you.
Oh, that's the place you want to get to.
Got you.
Now they ain't used to that, right? They're not used to that. So they messing with him, you clowning them, you this and so, but you have to. And in a way, they don't necessarily trust you, why you doing this. But for me, it was always being consistent and persistent. And this is what I'm doing. And I know you can be funny and there's something else there.
Right.
Right.
You can do both.
Oh, well, you can be sports and there's something else.
Right.
There's always the and, right?
Gotcha.
But you trying to cover up the and because there's something else going on. What about you? You can speak, and Lady Cell, you can too.
No, I think what I saw with students, and I love teaching. So I was not always a good student. So I identify with kids who don't like school, get in trouble. Middle school, if you saw me in middle school, you would say this kid's gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I was a hot mess.
Right.
But when students were acting up in my class, I'm like, look, I'm here for you. And when it got to a place of being disrespectful, I'm like, look, I don't disrespect you. I've never disrespected you. So why are you disrespecting me? Like I'm on your team. I'm not here to hold you back from being what you want to be in life.
Beautiful.
But in this class, there's a team effort.
Right.
Like you're not the only one in this class. If we were teaching one-on-one, if it was like the way doctors get paid to take patients one-on-one, then I could sit with you one-on-one and have a talk. But I can't. I'm doing 30-1. I'm 25-1. I got 25 kids in here, and you're asking for a 90% of the time. It's just not. It's not equitable. It's not fair, and it's not feasible.
Right.
So I would always try and just be real. Like, look, I know here's what I heard a quote that says, some of the kids who need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving ways.
That's the way to put it. That's
And
a
so
good way to
when
put
they're
it.
fighting you, when they're arguing with you, when they want to fight with you, when they try and make you kick them out of class, kicking kids out of class, I hate it, but I would have to do it at the last resort. And I'm like, look, it's not. I'll usually give them time. Hey, outside my classroom there was a bench because I had a portable. There's a bench. I'm like, go sit on the bench and get some fresh air. When a kid didn't want to go sit on the bench and take fresh air, and they wanted to stay in the room and distract, then I knew that they weren't ready to be there today. And I'm like, I'm giving you room to do no work and just go have a seat outside. You need a break. I definitely need a break. And so when a student was fighting against that, they don't want to leave the room. They don't want to separate from the space. It's really, they're looking for attention. Wow. And I'm like, I want to give you the attention, but I want to give it to you positively. Why are you asking? Because you mentioned attention is attention. Some kids will take a negative attention if it's not cool to ask for positive attention. So therefore, I want somebody to talk to me, see me, call my name. I want somebody to give me some face-to-face time. If your love language is quality time, and I'm a teacher, I'm too busy with other kids, you may do something inappropriate to get me to give you some time because I haven't come to your table yet. And I think that if we don't get clear, help educators get clear, we make those students feel like something's wrong with them, as opposed to just recognizing that there's a human need there. What is the need right now? And I may not have the time with 25 other kids in the room to have a one-on-one with you, but man, if you come back at lunch, I'll talk to you. I don't know what to do for you right now in this moment.
Do you know why you were being the class clown? That's what that is my aim to get
goofy. I'm goofy, but
no, I know, but
okay,
why?
that person got you.
Because I'm getting to why are you that way?
Right.
And that's the story, because when you tell that story, that's a serious story that you tell about why you being that way. You can't really be goofy and tell that story. I mean, you can start laughing, but then you start to get into, well, it's a coping mechanism for a lot of young people.
Yes, sir.
That's what it is. Yeah.
We got a caller.
Oh, we do.
But Lady Estelle,
Lady Estelle, you want to say something?
Oh, well, let's take the caller and then I'll come back after the caller.
All right, call it. Maybe it's your grandmother. Oh, I didn't say the number. 877-955-1061. Teachers Education and Emotional Mass. Go right ahead.
Hello, Joseph Marshall.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Is this Cassandra?
Yes, it is.
You me anyway. Don't hang up. Not hang up.
Cassandra, we're talking about teachers in school. Is there something specifically that you want to address with that?
Yes, real quick, because as you know, my grandson, he's 14. He just started 9th grade. He's been going through some things because his mom got murdered 9 years ago.
Right.
So other than that, I really commend all of the teachers, and I know about the quality time that children, he's 14, but guess what? He's like 6'4". So he's big for his size, his age. So other than that, yes, I go through a lot of that with him, but I just still remember that he's a child and I give him attention, and I just know how he, like I say, cries out for help. Yep. And I really, really needed to hear this. But Joseph, Mr. Joseph, I'll talk to you soon. I don't want to take up time because y'all can hang up on me tonight. Happy Sunday, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, hon. Thank you.
That 14-year-old, 6'4", 14-year-old who lost his mother when he was just a little boy. There may be that sadness that can turn and look like anger, or it can look so many different ways. And I think that soul needs to be addressed. And whatever way she can find at the school site to get somebody to work with him, support him, to deal with that emotional, I'm gonna talk the alive and free language, that emotional residue, so it doesn't interfere with his brilliance. Because the pain, the sadness, the confusion around why did it have to happen to me and my mom, and why, everybody's got, and that whole thing can really interfere with his brilliance. And to find that way that can address that will help him so that he can use his height and his depth to help him continue to grow. I taught 4th grade. And so I think elementary school is a place where children learn fundamentally how to be students. And some of the best teachers need to be in elementary school. When kids get to middle school and high school, they are moving from class to class, and the teachers don't have the time that they can invest in kids and in those needs when they're in high school and middle school, because it's a train that's moving like this in elementary. And so in elementary, 4th grade, I have what I call some sweet peas, and I would build in to my curriculum, because I had them all day. If I had a comedian, there would be an opportunity, and I would program in the time to play, the time to make jokes, where we can all laugh, we could take turns, but I helped build the character and the gifts and the talents that my kids had, and built my class around that. So they, and I would tell them, I'm not preparing you for 5th grade. I'm preparing you for college. It's so funny when I run into them later, they say, Mrs. Still, I'm in college. This is what I did. So yeah, elementary is where you teach them and you provide the space and you build in the curriculum, that sweet time, that sit down and talk time, that time to, okay, somebody's mad today. We need to get this out. How can we get him out? I would take him out and we would do calisthenics.
Okay, Johnathan Pugh Jr. and Wenceslao, did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
I just said it right?
Yeah.
Soto, right?
Yes.
And I need to tell you guys how we met. I don't know if you know.
Go ahead.
Who said go ahead?
So I can't remember the year now. It's been a few years. 2015. There was a film made by actually the governor's wife, Jennifer Cybel Newsom, did a film called The Mask You Live In. And it was about males and masculinity. She had previously done a film on women, about the misrepresentation of women in media. And she had a son, and she said, "Well, this something." So she put the film together, and I don't even think she had an idea what she was really doing. Like, when somebody makes a good meal, old days, they say she put her foot in it, but she put her foot in this. And for 90 minutes, Johnathan and Wenceslao, she had men, boys of all ages, talk about the mask that they live in. And the mask being something that they acquired very early, from the time they were little boys. And, just wore throughout their entire life, and the problems that it brought them as men, boys and men. And the scenes are so powerful that it's really hard to describe, but to see guys, I'm gonna say guys, just for 90 minutes, just take the mask off and tell the truth. Stop hiding. And there's scenes in there that are killing, because guys don't do this, right? And one of the reasons I knew brothers had, man, when I started working with brothers on the street, I knew they was faking it. I knew from the beginning. See, one of the reasons when you're a teacher and you know somebody, when you got them in middle school and they all A's, then you see them out there on the grind, right? You know that ain't really them. So I knew it wasn't really them. That's why man, that ain't really you. I don't care what you're doing. You adopted this street name, you adopted this persona, you're trying to be hard, but that ain't really you. And when they were in front of me, they knew. So I knew that ain't really you. So I knew I used to say, Jack and I used to say, man, you wearing a mask, you wearing a mask, you wearing a mask.
Wow.
To hear it as a title in a movie, and then to see these brothers from, elementary school to prison talking about, man, this mask is not only killing me, it's killing everybody else. It's ruining my family. So that's how we met. And I remember I filmed it for 2 hours and I was on for 60 seconds, but I got to talk about brothers and how they feel about being disrespected, the things we would do behind being disrespected. And I got to talk about the scene that he was in. I still think if there's two scenes that are the most poignant scenes of the movie, one is when he got these lifers in prison telling the truth about themselves, right? And that's hard when you see these dudes talking about, I was sold a bill of goods, I became a murderer, a rapist, all these things, because, I was taught to be that. That's not really me. right? The other scene was the scene that I'll never forget that scene. Like, I can't get permission to just isolate that scene from the filmmakers. The scene you did at Fremont High School with the boys. And tell Mike about that scene, because that is how, I saw him, he saw me, and we have done a lot of work together.
Got you.
Yeah.
So we at Fremont High that year, I was the dean. So I had these young men who they were always getting kicked out of advisory class. I'm like, advisory, if there's any class easier than PE is advisory. You just sit there and you just sit there and pretend like you care what the person's saying and you're good. But they were getting kicked out, which means there was a disconnected. So I told the principal, I said, look, I'll take over the advisory for this group of young men, because they were always in the halls. If I'm running around chasing them anywhere, I might as well be with them.
Wow.
So I brought them together, and in our circles, they were just always they would rather have an argument with me than to open up. When we do check-ins, they would all check in. I'm a 10. I'm a 10. I'm a 10. Everybody's a 10. Now I'm the dean. I got their grades. I got their transcripts. They're not 10s. You're not 10. You're not a 10 right now, brother. Like, if this is a 10, I hate to see what a 5 would look like. These young men, I had young men who had 0 credits. You're a junior. You have 0 credits, and you're goofing off. Now, somebody should have told you a year ago that you're not going to graduate, but no one did. So somebody at that school failed you. Not me. You're going to be mad at me because I'm going to hand you this piece of paper right now. You have 0 credits and you are a junior. You should not even call yourself a junior because you are not going to graduate from this school. Wow. And so I got to now transition them over to a program at Laney. I got to figure out how to get to adult ed. They're not going to graduate. It's impossible for them to get enough credits in 2 years, the 4 years that they totally need. So in this space, they're all saying they're 10s. And I'm like, but I couldn't, when they were in my office one-on-one, they're going deep.
Yeah.
But when we got in front of the circle, everyone's a 10. And so I knew that when they asked to film for this documentary, I said, look, they're not going to talk about it. I said, you should go to one of our other clubs that's doing really good. The club over there, they're opening up. Those young men they're locking in. They're like, well, we want to see the resistance. I said, I'm glad you want to see resistance. But in my mind, I'm like, you're going to come and film, and these young men are going to sit here and just say everything's great. I don't need them telling their business on TV, but I do need them to, I want to have a meaningful circle with them. And I tried all my magic, all of it. And I said, what if I don't have them talk about it? What if they just write it? What if they don't have to say it? They just write it. And so that's where the mask came from. It was like, okay, write 3 words on the front things you let people see about you. And then I want you to write 3 things on the back, or things that you don't usually talk about.
Wow.
And what they did is they balled these pieces of paper, they threw them at each other, and then they said, pick up a piece of paper, open it up, and all of them ended up with somebody else's paper. And when they started reading those words off that weren't their words, the room just dropped in.
Wow.
And they realized, this is me. And some of the young men, when they heard their words read, they just like, it was one of the moments where you're like, I couldn't have planned it any better, and I didn't even know it was going to work.
Man, I got goosebumps. You were telling that story.
They were faking it. What they wanted people to see wasn't what was really going on inside.
I remember when it was some class, like his name was Mr. McCloyd, Gateway High. But what he would do was sometimes, like, he'll have a study, and then the discussion would just go somewhere else. And he would just he was like, I had a study for y'all, but he would just allow the class to kind of like flow. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I feel like teachers don't do that. Sometimes teachers, oh no, we got to cut it off short. But sometimes they just need to let it just flow, because, things that come out, you'll never know what this kid was going through. You may stereotype she was good or she wasn't good, but if you just let it flow. So I got goosebumps, bro. Real talk. I swear.
You see the scene, it's so powerful,
right,
that the guys ended up hugging each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tears come in their eyes, right? And this is the way they really were. But as soon as the camera stopped rolling, they're gonna go back to be, I'm cool, everything cool. I'm cool, man. I ain't got no problem. What's up with you? What's wrong? Nothing. Ain't nothing wrong. That's right. You say ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm cool, man. So that scene was it was just, the whole movie was like that. And and you got to look into what we as men, we just fake it.
Is it a cultural thing?
90% of the time. Well, that's a good question. I want to get to that. Is it a culture thing? I think it's a male thing. because this film touched on white men, black men, Latino men, Asian men. It's a man thing. And guess where do you think in the film they said it starts? This whole
Elementary.
persona. Well, before that starts
In the home.
with one thing, in the home with one instruction to boys.
Don't be soft.
Before that, you close. Boys don't cry. See, right. See,
He said it. Christian
yeah,
said it.
that's right. Boys don't cry. Right. It's okay for girls to cry and express your emotions, but boys don't cry. That comes from our mothers, our fathers, comes from everybody in our lives. Boys don't cry. Now, and then it goes to, man up, don't be soft, don't be this, don't be that. Right. But crying is natural.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, we
almost cried when they're talking about, but man, I almost cried. Yeah.
But you get clowned for that, right?
Not here. This is a safe space.
No. But you with us, right? What the hell you crying for, dude? What's up with you, man?
Right.
You were little. And we hit little, then we hit the names, right? And then you're gonna shut down. Well, I ain't never telling y'all nothing. Suppose in that room, they had exposed themselves and they had got clowned for telling the truth.
Oh man, he wouldn't even. Yeah.
They would have never said that.
He couldn't have done nothing. They wouldn't even be here. Yep. Grandma wouldn't even have called in.
And that's his work. He knows these emotional masks that we wear.
They exist.
And it does us no good. And it does our loved ones no good. And I say this all, you guys say this, 90%, not 90%, but the prisons are men. It's almost like violence is a male thing, right? But it's not a male thing. It's not really us, right? There's 9 men's prisons and 1 women's prison. So we just naturally violent and women ain't? No, it's where we become that way. We become that way, but that ain't really us.
That's a good point.
Right? I mean,
and we're taught, like, imagine this.
Like trained.
We're trained. If you're told that as a growing up, that there are emotions that are okay, that are accepted. Wenceslao, what emotions are accepted for young men that you know? What emotions are accepted?
At school?
Mm-hmm. School, wherever.
Being tough for sure. Not being afraid. Being cool. Being able to do many stuff, and being probably being like a class clown.
Johnathan, what emotions are not accepted?
If you emotionally aware.
Which ones are not accepted? So
confusion, sadness. What else? I was just thinking about it. Procrastination. You gotta always know what to do. You can't feel that. And sometimes you can't feel frustration, because if you too hot-headed, they're gonna clown you for always getting mad off of nothing. So you gotta have like a balance.
And so imagine, and I would say fear is in there. Doesn't growing up in Oakland, you can't be afraid. Better not show no fear. If you're afraid, don't show it.
Exactly.
Imagine we told young men, you can show these things, be tough, strong, have all the answers, have all this gear, have all this stuff, but you can't show all these other emotions. We're saying be half human.
I like that.
So if I'm half
That is
human,
great, half human.
then wonder why we have to lock them in cages, because they're monsters. If you don't, if you don't have a connection to your full human self,
Yes.
then you're not fully human. And therefore, we have to lock you in a cage to help you get back to either being better human, or you just stay in the cage for the rest of your life. That's the
Half
monster.
human.
That's a monster.
I like that.
And that's what we teach boys to do.
The number one instruction that got me, I'm gonna tell y'all the one that got me. Don't be no punk. I wasn't gonna be no punk. I don't even know what the hell, Johnathan. I had no idea what a punk was. Don't be no punk. Well, I didn't say, well, what is that? What do I do that makes me a punk? No, it was this command or demand without instruction. So I had to figure out what being a punk was. And I figured, I gotta be hard. Can't be soft. Damn sure can't cry. I can't show my feelings. I can't let nobody mess with me. You don't hit him before he hit you. See, my face is changing. You see how my face is changing? You see my face? I got that whole male expression, right? That was the one. Please don't tell my brother not to be no punk. Because at least say, They say, well, let me tell you what that is, because we don't know what it is, so we gotta make up what it is. You know, we get dealt a bad hand. The half human, I love that. The half human hand.
Do you
right?
think it's more of a thing for people of color? So, for example, not knowing, you could flip that and say, well, you know, you ain't trying to be game goofy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes being vulnerable is not where you want to be in the hood or in the black community or in the brown community. So like, do you think that's more of a thing within the black and brown community versus like in the white community?
So we just did
I mean, like you said, it is a male thing, but I just know like little quotes I hear, like you said, don't cry, or you know what I'm saying? Like, don't be no punk.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The P word.
Right.
We have a report that's coming out really soon, and we've been planning to release it. So here's what we did. We took a private school and we took a public school.
Wow.
And we interviewed these young men that were around sophomore age. And if you were to look at the data of what they said on the front of the mask and back of the mask, you wouldn't know which school was which.
Okay, got you.
The tricky part is that what we have told ourselves on the outside is because what the mask is what we can see on the outside. You got this fancy school, you got all these fancy stuffs, you got a football field and baseball field and soccer field and a swimming pool at your school. You must be doing fine. But what's happening is the mask is the same.
So it's almost like a double stereotype. It's like it's a stereotypical stereotype of, okay, this is the.
They must have it figured out.
It's almost like the same thing.
And they're struggling.
Wow.
Because if you're told in a community that you can't, like, imagine, I've had some young men in some of the private schools who would say, well, I don't have the right to complain. So therefore, if in their minds, they're going through something in their own lens of how they see the world, and they can't complain about it, or they shouldn't be upset about it because other people have it worse. Well, that means that no one should ever complain about it because somebody always has it worse. If you think about it, right? Like if you go to some places in different parts of the world, you would say, oh my goodness, I thought I had it bad, but other people have it worse. And I think that not as a comparison, but as a one to be able to say. So I'm like, well, what are you feeling? Forget if other people have it worse, but if you don't have a way of talking about it in a healthy way, then guess what? What we experience in our work, we tell young men, if you don't deal with it in a healthy way, it's going to come out in an unhealthy way. Because it has no choice. It's energy in motion. That energy, that thing hits your body. Your nervous system says, I'm feeling this, but you say, oh, I can't show this because of X, Y, Z. I don't show it, so I store it. And I keep storing it, and I keep storing it. And at some point, something's going to give. Now, what we know in the Bay Area, what we experience here in the Bay Area, a lot of our young men are numbing. They're numbing. They're walking around like zombies. Yep. They're constantly, they go from numbing with the gummy, numbing with the cookie, numbing with the drinking, numbing with they're numbing constantly. So I don't want to feel what I need to, what I'm feeling. But what do I need to do to make it go away? I'm gonna drink it away. I'm gonna drug it away. I'm gonna sex it away. I'm gonna gang it away. I'm gonna fight it away. I'm gonna mad it away. I'm gonna anger it. Like all the ways I'm gonna get it away. But it's coming back. It's waiting because it got to get dealt with. It has to get dealt with. The energy has to go into a place. By numbing it doesn't mean it can go away. Numbing it just gives it a moment to suspend itself.
Wow.
And what we have with a lot of our young men, Dr. Marshall talked about the jails are full of men, 93, 94%.
Do you guys have like classes that allow you it's so weird. Like we talk about this a lot of time on Street Soldiers. It's like, why isn't there a class to have like just for a kid to like each level, elementary, middle, and high school, decompress, get it off your chest. They don't have that in school growing up right now.
You're that class, Johnathan.
These are like extracurricular programs.
We don't got the class for it, but we've been creating the clubs for it.
Got you. That's tight.
Say that again, Johnson. Say that again.
We don't got the class for it, but we've been creating the clubs for it.
Okay. What you do is that you have to create something outside of the regular day.
We've been making
right.
Making
you have
I got you.
Outside of the regular day. If you're asking, has the school system figured out that this is a necessary part of the curriculum? No.
No, got you.
No.
And it seemed like so common,
common.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Marshall.
But it's a value thing. See, it's a value, and it's what you see. See, I mean, there's a reason that these guys get locked up in special ed in the first grade, right?
I was gonna ask a question about special ed.
Right? Yeah, or they ADD, every alphabet, and they get put on Ritalin, and I mean, they ain't got time for that. I'm not sure they even. I mean, he said it, and when you say they don't care, that's a hard thing to say. But what else can you say?
Right.
Or no. Here's what
What
I've
else
heard.
can you
Now
say?
this is the hard thing. It's a hard one. That's not in my job description.
Oh,
I
wow.
hear teachers say that a lot. I don't get paid to do that. I've had them say that to me, right? I mean, look, I've heard that, right? But you're dealing with young people in their lives, so and yeah, it's tough. You've heard it all, man.
One of the things I've seen also, we now work on the outside of schools, right? So I'm not in the classroom directly. I do a lot of work in schools. So I have an open letter I'm going to write, and I'm gonna post it on LinkedIn, right? A school last week. So we have this partnership with the construction company Trubeck, and they're going to do a workshop everywhere they have an office. We offered a free workshop to these schools, and so one school in particular, I said, "Oh, we need that. We know that our students are going to come in. They are consciously aware that their students are about to come back, and they are going to need some support. Now, there's no cost involved, right? They come back, we tell them how it would look, whatever it needs to do. They come back and they say, actually, we figured I'll talk to my admin team. We don't have time for that. Maybe next year." Yep. So from that statement, and as an educator, see, normally I would have a hard time replying because I think they're gonna think that I'm mad because we didn't get the business.
Yes.
But this was a grant. This was for free, so there's no money involved. So what I said to them in this letter that I'm writing, I'm like, if you have the belief that your students are going through something today, and you believe that they can wait 365 days for you to do something about it, you are sadly mistaken. I'm gonna write it nicer than that, but I'm just really being honest about how the words. Like, if you think our kids who are in these communities who are struggling right today can wait another 365 days for you to make a systematic decision to address it, you are mistaken.
Thank you.
And I have a hard time. It's easier to write this letter because it's not money involved. My emotions are not tied to money. It's about that you're failing our kids. And many educators right now school's about to start. And some people are already thinking like, oh, well, we don't have time. I get it, because I was a teacher for 10 years and an administrator for 3. I know what it's like to work hard and be like, at the end of the day, like my pile on my desk is still bigger than when I started today. And I still feel like I didn't get much done. But we have to address the needs. And if we can't do it as educators, then we need to bring in people who can. The Ever Forward Club I didn't create this to try and figure out how to take money from schools, but we are an organization. I've had more schools try and like not pay us than other places. Like, we're a nonprofit in Oakland, and you're trying to be like, hey, can you make this like not cost us anything? You're like, how are we gonna keep our doors open? And I hate that part. If I could just do it for free all day long, I would do it for free. But the hardest part is like I have to negotiate with you now, because you got to see the value of it. You got to see the value of what you're not seeing, and what's happening behind these masks is that young people don't have a place to talk about it.
Do they? What's your name again, sir?
When? Just when.
When? Do you guys recognize like when a teacher like cares or like gives a damn?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Gotcha.
It be the teachers who show up early, who's willing to show up early,
Right.
like Ashanti said,
Right.
and they're willing to stay late too. Because I had an English teacher. She was my AP English teacher. I had missing assignments because I was gone for 3 days to go travel. She stayed, even though she was off of work, she stayed for 2 hours more just to help me catch up. Those are the teachers who you can tell it's not about what they say, it's their actions.
Right.
So if a teacher really
Even if
do
they
stuff for
mean,
you,
yeah, exactly.
that
Quote
mean
unquote.
they care.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I had a teacher last year, a Spanish teacher, and he would, check in with students, like see how they're doing in school and how they're doing,
Outside of school.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
with themselves. And me and him really got along. He really tried to help me as much as he can. And eventually I also had him on the podcast I host.
What, you host a podcast?
Yeah, the Ever Forward podcast.
Oh wow. What? Man. I'm twice your age. I just now starting podcasting.
Wenceslao's amazing. He's on the Face to Face show of Taking Off the Mask. Yeah, he's doing some amazing conversation.
Beautiful.
You heard me say this. I don't believe in a generation gap. I believe in a truth gap.
Yep.
So I'm saying this. He's saying this. I'm the oldest one in here, right? He's saying this and he's saying this. You know how powerful that is when we all say the same thing.
Yeah.
So you can't say, well, you just said, Marsh, it ain't like it was back in your whatever come up with, and Ashanti, well, yeah. But if we're all saying 2 + 2 is 4, what you gonna do? Now you may not want to hear it from me. Maybe you want to hear it from him, right? But it's the same statement. Truth is truth, right? Truth is truth. So, much of your work is done with boys. Do you do work with young women? And there's nothing wrong with, believe me, there's nothing wrong with that. What differences do you see, if any? The mask you live in was specifically around boys and men and boys. And I'm not sure that the target is on young women the way it is with young. It's just different. And I want to say it's different. Yeah.
So our workshops, when we first, ever before it first started, 2004, it was just young men. But since the Million Mask movement has started, so the documentary was The Mask You Live In. We created this activity about masks. And what we've been doing since then is we've been offering workshops all over the world, right? So if schools bring us in, we do these workshops. I just handed everyone a postcard, a Post-it. And what we did in this last workshop we invited people to look at this idea of like a wish they had for their dad, right? Yeah. Because, we have a lot of studies tell you there's a dad challenge in our communities around. One of the things I did is I said, well, just write a statement. I wish my dad. Now we know that some students don't have that relationships. And so I said, write whatever alternative statement makes sense for you. But these that you're looking at are some of the ones we kind of separated from this group. And this workshop is a co-ed workshop. So what we know is that not just young men have father wounds, that young women also have father wounds.
Absolutely.
Like the father wound is any part of a relationship that otherwise a strong, healthy father relationship would have gone well, right? The father wound is that wounding. It's not a scar. It's like, oh, I look at that. Oh, yeah, I remember when that happened. No, it's like every time I touch it and feel it, it reopens like it was brand new. And so some of these are pretty hard to read, and some of these are, these are what students wrote. They wrote them on these Post-its, and they wrote, "I wish my dad." And these young people have a wish for their dads. And I think oftentimes if we don't know we have a relationship with them, or we don't know we can talk about them, then we may keep it to ourselves. Our kids may keep it to themselves because they don't want to make us feel awkward or make us feel uncomfortable. And so maybe if those of you who have one, if you want to read it, I'll read the one. There's some of them are powerful, but this one says, "I wish my dad didn't overwork himself." Wenceslao, why don't you read one that you have?
I wish my dad would talk to me more.
I wish my dad did more around the house.
I wish my dad a quick recovery.
I wish my dad cared more.
Yeah. And so I got this idea from a guy, Romal Toon. He wrote a book called.
I wish my dad never left me. Okay? I wish my dad was in my life. I wish my dad could take more time off from work. I wish my dad talked more. Yeah, absolutely.
And you imagine if we don't make space for men to have these conversations or make them to help their kids have conversation with them, these cycles are going to repeat. These cycles are going to repeat. I don't think they have a choice but to repeat if we don't begin to interrupt them. And so part of our work in the Ever Forward Club, in the Million Mask Movement, and the Taking Off the Mask workshops is all around how do we give these young men autonomy and voice so that they can take over and lead it, right? And I think they both have had some amazing opportunities, and they're going to have some amazing opportunities this school year. Wenceslao starting his club, Johnathan's a senior, and he's going to be helping some of these new young men with their clubs kicking off.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
A serious question?
Yeah.
Why don't kids get a summer anymore? Why are they ending school June 20th, starting school August?
No, we can't answer that question.
You wish I didn't ask that?
No, we can't answer that. We don't make up the schedule.
But would you rather prefer more of a summer for kids as a former educator or educator?
I've seen it all. Seen
Okay,
year-round school. I've seen it all.
gotcha.
I mean,
Do you think I'm just saying, I'm just thinking like, why do you have kids in school all year long when the stuff that we learn, I don't really, everything that I learned in school, I don't apply now.
I can't answer that question.
Not to hate on y'all.
That's only because you don't recognize that you're applying what you've learned.
Got you. Sorry.
That's all right.
It just seems like
I know they don't
kids,
have a summer, right? But that's, but
it would seem like they'd be
it's a
happier if
summer,
they had
right?
more of a
Yeah.
summer.
There are some countries where school.
You can't hear her?
No,
Okay, 1 second.
I can't hear her.
Keep talking like this still.
Okay, there are some countries where school is year-round, period, all the time, and then it's measured and metered, and and it's really the expectation, period, with a period. Okay, but here in California and across the United States, there are tests that are given to identify where learning is.
Got you.
And then they have these ratings, and the ratings come out and it's given to the schools, and the schools find out that in the state of California, they're ranked number 54. We only got 51 states. Anyway, but they're ranked really low, if you understand what I'm saying. And so then the districts say, well, we need more. We need to do more. And the more is always more classes, more seat time, and not more touching what's going on inside.
Right.
That's going to help them connect with the material, and then giving teachers what they need, because yes, teachers do need to be therapeutic in their approach. Sometimes there's the demand and the expectation and the needs for teachers to cover so many things is
overwhelming, huh?
And it's necessary, it's mandatory. That's what the kids need. But teachers need to have what they need to give the kids what they need.
Wow.
Yeah. In fairness, I mean, I wasn't taught any of this that I took when I went my teacher education classes. I was only taught to teach math, right? And so I didn't have any child development classes, and I happen to be in tune just because of the way I am, right? But and he was in tune with the way he was, but that wasn't part of it at all. You're basically there to teach a subject. And when it comes to, and I remember that's why so many teachers get into the business, and they go in with all these wonderful expectations, and they get into the real world. They don't last 6 months. They like, I didn't know,
Dang.
And then as a retired teacher, some teachers are just as resistant as they see their students to be.
Ooh-wee.
Dang.
Ooh-wee.
That's not a good teacher.
Ooh-wee.
Well,
that doesn't help.
Well, see, I think teachers,
I'm just being real.
No,
I've been in the classroom.
Yeah, I've always said it's a calling. I don't think it's a job. And I think somebody that stays 2 hours over, that's a calling. That ain't a job. That ain't like I'm gone after 3 o'clock.
You're not getting
I ain't
paid.
got no phone numbers.
Right.
Or,
You're not getting extra money.
That's not in my job description. It's a calling. I think the best teachers are those who are called to their profession.
I just remember in high school, some teachers, they would just deal with their kids or students differently. Like it would be after school, whoever, everybody in their classroom, he may teach math. He helping you with your homework, or she helping with your homework. Everybody in there, and then other teachers at 3:15, they're out of there at 3:25.
Well, and you gotta like your job.
Yeah.
So you don't like their job. How you gonna teach young people if you don't really like people?
Man.
And I go even further. I say, if you see every young person as your own child, that's that next level.
Wow.
See, that's that next level. See, and you got teachers. They do things entirely different with their own children than they would with children that are not there.
Right.
And then I'd like to say one more thing. If teachers would do like Mr. Branch did and say, what can I do to help me be a better teacher so you can learn this material. What do I need what do you need from me? So that because this is information you need to have.
Right.
And I'm here to give it to you. Now, what do you need from me so that you can get what I've got for you? That is a teacher.
Man. Amen.
I want to ask both of you. We have one of the things we have is dare to be different. You are daring to be different. And I'm wondering, the music that's out there is pretty much the exact opposite of what you have. It's all about being hard. I mean, we know all the themes in the music. You got to get women, you got to get money, you got to be hard, can't be no punk. It's all the same. It's that message has been there for 25 years now. I don't,
50 years.
Well,
shout out to hip hop.
It's been the only message for the last 20, the dominant message.
You're right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you listen to it, if you get this pumped into you, J.R. Valray wrote a wonderful article I want to pass on to you. He writes for the Bayview,
Bayview Post?
What's it called? I can't remember the lady.
Baby Journal?
Yeah, it's not the Journal. Anyway, about hip hop after years, right? And we've had our celebration, but then he went deeper, right? And and San Francisco Bayview, and he talks about an overload of information. If you only get one side all the time, what'll do you? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that image about being a male that's constantly being put out there through music and videos, which is pretty much the opposite of what he's telling you? How is that for you, the two of you?
Well, I don't really get that type of stuff from music. I more so get things out of human interaction.
Okay.
Because all the music majority of the music out there is worldly music. Is going to teach you exactly what to do that's bad.
Okay.
It's a very broad way to hell, so it's going to be easy to hear that stuff. So,
all right.
Okay.
Oh, he with it.
I don't really listen to that type. If I do, I'm not gonna just let that determine how I'm gonna make decisions in my life, because that's music. If you tell me if you're gonna listen to music and just apply it to your life, it's not gonna work. It's not a great decision to make. So
my favorite story.
I'm not gonna downplay that struggle for anybody else, because I know everybody has their struggle, but I don't struggle with that, so I don't have that much knowledge on that. Yeah. But I know it's not a good decision to apply stuff from music to your life.
He's
wise. Grandma said you were saved. All right, boy. All right then.
Man.
All right.
Well, I know most of the words that they say, they're just, bragging too much, or they're just lying in general.
I know that's right.
Brother,
they sell tickets.
Go. They just lying in general. I like that. Studio gangsters is what we call it. Performance thugs. That's what they use.
Oh, that's right.
They use it. There. I like that.
For example, they might, be bragging like how they're like always happy and like party and stuff, but they might not be,
Yeah.
They might feel that there's something still missing. There's something that still needs to be accomplished in their life. But I, do listen to some of the music, but I don't, also include that in my life. I don't relate to it. No.
Yeah. Well, I like that. You're aware. See, the worst thing is not to be aware.
Right.
When you're aware, you got a chance.
Right.
Like I always say, people didn't know cigarettes cause cancer. A whole lot of people died. Now at least people know it, right? So if you're gonna smoke, you know what you're dealing with. Yeah. Oh man, that was so great. I don't know what to say about that. Johnny, you just keep growing and getting better and better and better and better. Have people? Have you seen a beginning of a shift? People ask me that all the time. What do you see now? You've been at this 30 years, blah blah blah. But this whole idea about males and masculinity and emotions and all the stuff in the mask, are you starting to see an awareness around this?
Yeah, I think it's even more than an awareness. I think the fact that people in pop culture, definitely the people who are afraid, the people, I'm hesitant to name some of these people, but they're not to be, well, the Andrew Tates and the Josh Hawleys and the Tuckers and the like those ones. So when people in pop, go ahead.
The alpha males.
The alphas, right? The top G's, right? The top G's, the most searchable men on the internet, right? Like the fact that some people believe in a place where they could tell you that you are not manly enough because you don't do it like they do it, is the way that our world is showing the fear of a world where people are becoming more allowed to be themselves. Now, if there was no issue, no one's trying to transform them, but in their minds, they're going on a battle for the lives of everybody, right? The battle for the lives of young men. And I think that what we see over and over again is the words that come out in media, in news, whatever. The people who are afraid, look, there was a time when men didn't talk about feelings.
Right.
I know people in that, right? So because we are no longer there, they somehow think that we're going back. And I think young people are telling them today, we're not going back. We're not going back to typewriters being the main way to communicate. We're not going back to yellow pages being the way that we find out about, like, we're not going back. And the people who are afraid, who are worried, who are freaking out, are trying to say to people, you can't do what you want. You can't be who you want to be. You're going to do it this way. Otherwise, you're not a real man. And that definition is starting to fall apart. And people who are trying to hold on to those old ways are finding themselves not being heard much anymore. But it's powerful, because if I can come into the microphone and I can be like, I'm going to teach you how to be a man, how everyone will respect you. And you get a generation of young men who follow. I had a middle schooler last year tell me that his idol was this Tate guy, right? A middle school. He's like 12 years old. He heard all the sound bites on social media that sounded amazing, but he's never sat and listened to a 2-hour talk with this person. He's only heard what social media does really good at, is giving you nice, masky sound bites. Sounds really good. It sounds like powerful. He's gonna make me be strong and make me tough and make me liked by girls and make me a real man.
Be a man, whatever the hell that is.
And then therefore what happens is he doesn't know that all the other stuff that's happening behind the scenes. And so I think part of our work is really helping the new generation recognize that these devices, as powerful as they are, if you're not careful, you'll get siloed into them, right? You'll get stuck into into what they love talking about, the matrix, right? They love talking about it. But I think that's the work. Part of our work is, how do we give them a space? What does it mean to you? Okay, what does it mean for you? Right? I get to tell what it means for me. And I can't tell you that it doesn't mean that for you. But I'm telling you, if you're hurting others and you're saying that, well, it means good if I make you feel bad about yourself and I feel good about myself, well, then we're going to disagree on some of those things, you know?
We've done several shows on domestic violence. And overwhelmingly, domestic violence is male violence against women, right? And I have said, if we don't spend time teaching men not to be violent towards women, all we're doing is providing services and giving women tips how to spot us, right? That's crazy. Don't do that, you know, and everything we do is after the fact. Just teach men how not. She pushed my buttons. We ain't got to have a button to push. What are you talking about? What button did she push? And you got to act like that, right? You know, and so either we are just normal, violent, domestic, we just like woman beaters, which I don't believe men are, or that's what we think somebody put in our head, that's how we supposed to act. You know, and she says something we don't like, or, you know, I'm gonna be she tell you ain't gotta be a real man, so you gotta hit upside the head. No. If you don't know who you are, but we're not invested. That's why I love you invested in teaching us not to be that way, right? We're not that way. You know, and if the relationship is not good for you, then just leave. Go home. You got to figure out, if I'm not really a dude that hits women, that's not really me, then I don't need to be in a situation when I feel like I get the way I'm changing. That's not me. That's not a good relationship. Women will figure out a relationship ain't good for them. You got to figure out if it's not good for you. That's not me. Right. I was never that way in the first place. You want to say something, Mike?
Nah, you said it all.
No, yeah, it's not me. That's not you. That's not you. That's not you. And yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, dude shot the girl, right? Tory Lanez shot
Tory Lanez.
Tory Lanez. What you shoot that woman for?
Seriously.
Really, what you shoot her for?
That because
Right?
it's because really literally is that's not you, bro.
That's my whole point.
That's not
That's
you.
not
That's not you.
Playing a role.
You playing a
I
role.
mean,
You
felt
trying to
got talked
fulfill some
about
type of.
or whatever. You shot the girl. Okay. I mean, the problem with violence is that we're taught we got a problem. That's how we handle it. We handle our problems through violence, with violence. No, it ain't even about humbling yourself. You being something that you not in the first place.
And when we take that back to what Ashanti was saying, which is the other way that you said, Dr. Marshall, is you talk about the emotional residue, that buildup. He talked about it's numbed. It's numbed. The emotions that you have, they're numbed, but they don't go away. They're just being pushed back until ultimately at some point they explode. There is an explosion, and it's dangerous for you and people around you if it's not dealt with. Alive and Free talks about letting some air out of the balloon. Ashanti, you're talking about that numbing, but it needs to be addressed and let out so that the mask that you're wearing, you have time to let some of that seep through, come out, process, talk about it, so that it doesn't become an orange suit.
What? Oh man, that's man. What do you guys go to the same? Is this a district program or just one school? Y'all go to the same school?
Oh no.
Oh, that's even better. You guys can like spread the gospel.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Ashanti's everywhere. He was in Seattle. I know. I was in Seattle a lot. I say he up there too. He go everywhere with it. Because it's a worldwide problem.
No, for real.
Yeah, but he's so special in that this is his life's work. See, some of that devote you. How many people have come to our trainings, Mrs. Stell, right? And they learn this stuff, and I'm gonna get a new job. That's fine, you get a new job, but this is his life's work.
Right.
And that's what's so great about
That's
this,
beautiful.
right?
Yes, sir.
He's Saint Ashanti, right? Okay, it's his life's work.
Right.
Because we're trying to save people's lives.
That's a great start.
One of the things we're trying to do right now is we're looking for young men. So our original plan was to have our Social Emotional Leadership Academy this past summer. So we put it off until the fall. So we're recruiting about 20 to 24 young men, high school. So ideally 9th, 10th, or 11th grade. So that means they'll be here next year as well. And our vision is that we're going to hit for the mask movement. We're going to hit 500,000 masks by May of 2024, right? And so these young men are going to be starting clubs at their school. Johnathan is senior, so he's in the older group, so he'll be helping one of the freshmen there start a club at that school. But we're recruiting 20 young men. So if you have a young man who's in middle school or high school, 9th, 10th, or 11th grade, they should just send us an email. Go to our website, everforwardclub.org. Send us email on our social media, Everforward Club. Let us know they're interested. Like we're doing the recruiting right now in August to September, and the goal is those young men will be a part of this action council who will help grow this movement not only around the Bay Area but around the world. And so we're in a growth campaign right now, and the vision of the mask is if those who are hearing us talk about this mask, you can make a mask anonymously. You can go to, can I tell you the website? Can I tell you the website? millionmask.org, millionmask.org. Or if you go to Everforward Club website, look for Million Mask Movement and you can go there. But the mask is a 3-step process, anonymous. And so we invite people to be a part. And we're having a growing campaign starting up in a couple of weeks. So we believe that the more that we keep learning from people all over the world, of all ages, we have more than 35 countries who have participated. Over 75,000 people have made a mask, right? That we have collected. And we know that as we get more, we're recognizing there's so much more going on behind. The tagline says, there's more to you than people can see by just looking at you. Like there's more to me than you can see by looking at me.
Facts.
And the part of these young men, they get a chance to help with their peers. And they're finding their voice. They're finding like, oh, it's hard to talk about these things, but it's important. And so Wenceslao, he's about to kick his club off. Johnathan is at a new school now. He's going to be helping one of the young men there kick his club off. And if you're a young man if you have a parents, we don't want you to force young men to do this. Don't force them. Encourage them, tell them what it's about, have them come to one of the info sessions, and then they can, make a decision. But we don't want them forced to be there. They need to want to do it, because it's about, am I willing to open up my own heart to be a part of a conversation?
What do your peers think about you? What has been the reaction of your peers to this you?
As far as start a club,
or just the whole,
uh,
just this version of you, this, because it's different. I say, when I
oh
say
yeah,
that, it'll be different, right?
You see how people really feel about you.
Yeah, yeah. Meaning what?
Oh, they fake.
Oh.
They don't got time to hear that. They got their own stuff. But the people who do really care and do really want to get to know you, they'll come to the meetings.
Yeah.
But it's very few.
Yeah.
It's not impossible,
Right.
but the people who do come is meaningful. So everything happens for a reason. So yeah.
Wenceslao, yeah, I was gonna say.
I think that well, at my high school, most people aren't interested. You
Yeah.
know, they want to do sports, they want to do video games, right? Friends, but I know some of very few uh kids at my school who they think is interesting. Um, and those are kids who really want to. Well, I think that they just want to let themselves go, I guess you can say. Try to connect to each other and see if they think similar, if they have the same problems. And teachers as well at my school think that what I'm doing is really good to help the students, and also help teachers as well. I've talked to teachers about it. They feel comfortable talking about it to me.
So Wenceslao helped to lead a workshop at his school for all the freshman young men last year, right? And so, like, for young men in our work who are finding their own voice, part of it is like we have to help them turn down the noise of what they hear people saying before they've said it.
Right.
So when Johnathan was first a part of the club, it was during pandemic. We were trying to get a workshop at his school, and Johnathan was fired up. He went off on his own. He didn't even tell me he was going to be doing a workshop. He did the workshop without me. And then I found out a week later the workshop was already done. I'm like, what are you doing? What happened? Right? Why didn't you tell me what was going on? Right? And so some of the young men, they're so hungry to do something on their own because they've been looking for this opportunity to take on leadership that they go sometimes forward fast. And sometimes we are trying to help them find the speed that's going to help them be the most effective, right? And sometimes you have to let them do it on their own. Sometimes they have to just take the reins and run with it, even when they have the support. And I think it depends on your definition of what asking for help means. If you believe asking for help means weakness, then you may do something by yourself that you actually should benefit from help from.
Mm-hmm.
And so our work with them is always around that. And I think that the movement, so when the work that he's doing right now this year, last year, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Like it was a slow move. And this year, like things are happening. They had the first meeting, or they had the first club rush thing going on. And so he gets to like see, oh, wait a minute. If I'm more prepared, I have a better result. But leadership is hard. Leadership is not easy. Like, and I think that I've learned that my own self, but I think our work with them is, okay, what do you need help at? Where do I need to back off? And where do I need to push in harder? Or where I'm saying, no, I need you to slow down here. I need to help you with this. And somehow I'm like, okay, well, let me know where you need my help. And you kind of let it flow, and then you realize, okay, it may not be going so well. So part of our work with young people is always that, and giving them room to learn their own leadership. And I think that's the tricky part too.
I just want to say it's okay to be different. Believe me, it's okay to be different. It's okay. Everybody got 50 tattoos. I ain't got one. I'm cool, right? I mean, I ain't got nobody. I mean, it's just me. It's okay it's okay to be different. It's okay to be you. And I would go so far as say, you've been chosen. You've been chosen to do the work. You've been chosen to help people, and that's fine. And that's wonderful. That's beyond fine. That's wonderful. We need a whole bunch more like you. We need saving, okay? And we need to be taught to be different. And I would also add, I know with the work we do, You know, we're trying to stop violence in the world where violence is the norm. You know, I mean, from beginning of time, I'm saying no, don't do that, right? Uh, and I would say you're responsible for the input, not for the outcome. Right? You don't change people; people change themselves. But you give them the information and the avenue so that change can happen. Because I don't want you going, well, listen to me, I'm mad, you're mad. No, truth is truth. And what you got going for you is what you're saying is right and true and loving, and you're doing it for all the best reasons because all you're trying to do is get them to be the person who they really are and take off the mask. And when you're comfortable with that, it's easy. It's not. It's just it calms you. It calms me. I know what it does for me. I know what it does for me. Lady E, I know you got something you want to add on.
Actually, what I'd like to hear, I don't know if this is in closing, but actually what I'd really like to hear is from the two young men. And I would like for them to just close out with a few words that they can share with young people who are listening. The reason that Ever Forward at your school site, is that what you call it?
Ever Forward Club.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Why it's good for them. And what if you come to Ever Forward, then you. So if you could just take that as your jump off point. If you come to Ever Forward, then you will what? So let's start with the youngest one first.
As you win.
That's you, baby.
If you come to Ever Forward Club, then you would make so much new experiences, see people from a different perspective, and learn so much about yourself and learn new skills. And it's okay to be afraid. I was scared at the beginning of joining this club, and yeah, it's if you come to Ever Forward Club, then this can impact your life.
Okay. You're going to learn new skills. It's going to impact your life. And learning those new skills will give you the ability to. So think about that. Because when we have that something that we know is good for us, we know is good for others as well. And to be able to share that, if you come to Ever Forward, then you, and that will. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you. That's great job. Let's hear from you, my high school senior.
If you come to Ever Forward Club, you're gonna learn how to be emotionally aware.
All right.
Because if you're not emotionally aware, then you don't have it's gonna be hard to listen to people, but it's gonna be even harder to listen to people if you can't be in their perspective or ask for their perspective of you. I feel like when you ask people questions and you're able to sit back and let them tell you what they want so you can know what they need instead of assuming what they need, then you're gonna be better off. Because I know if I applied that to my own life, instead of assuming what their reaction is gonna be, which is really hard because I'm projecting all past experiences upon that person before they even talk to me. But then I sit and judge them. I have no right to judge no other person because I done just as much wrong as they have. So I feel like when you really emotionally aware, you able to ask people what do they want, so then you can find out what they need, and that goes for people that's any age. It doesn't matter what age you are. Everybody needs something. So I would say emotional intelligence and just being vulnerable. A lot of people can't be vulnerable. It's very hard for people to be vulnerable. I know people can say vulnerable all day, but there's some people who claim they're vulnerable, that they are vulnerable, but they've never been vulnerable before. Vulnerable is when you're able to tell the truth and then hug somebody who going through the same thing. Not say
all right
this, but I want to judge you for it. No, you got to come open-minded and open-hearted. That's what vulnerability is. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna tell you the truth. No, it's I'm gonna hear you too. It's so easy to tell somebody something, but it's not easy to hear somebody else. You got to be able to hear other people. And it's easy for me to say right now. It's hard for me to hear people still to this day. I'm still working on it. But you got to listen to people. I need to take my own advice too, because I'm still learning how to listen to people too. So
Great job, Jonathan. Great job to be able to tell the story and include yourself to share your story in that. Remember, vulnerability, to be able to be vulnerable, there is power and strength in the ability to be vulnerable, the ability to listen, the ability to be aware of yourself, because then the choices that you make about what to do, what not to do, to be able to see that without judgment gives you strength and courage and enables you to get through whatever it is to the next thing, to be able to trust one another, knowing that there is a place that you can go where you will be heard, where you will be supported, cared about. Great job, young man. I wish you the best. And Mr. Ashanti, your turn. What do you think about you? And to the young men who will be young men and helping bring around and build up other young men, what do you have to say?
Are you asking me, should I say something to them?
It's
Or
your turn. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really proud of Wenceslao and Johnathan. They came with us and presented at South by Southwest in 2022. Johnathan has been a part of our program since he was in the 7th grade. Wenceslao started when he was in the 8th grade, and we believe that having more time to just help them slowly find that place of voice. And so we know that young men are in need of that. Our young men are, I think, hurting for that type of opportunity to say, did somebody see me? Or is somebody seeing me? Is somebody hearing me? Can I ask for that? Do I have a safe place to say that I need that? And so I think for young men who are a part of our circles that are outside of school and the ones who are part of our circles in school, it's like you have a space to be heard, seen, understood, and listened to. And ideally, as much of a judgment-free space as we can make. And that's part of our work. So my vision of this work is reminding 1 million people around the world that there's more to you. There's more to you than people can see. There's more to you than people can see by just looking at you. And I think with that message, with the Million Mask movement, with 1 picture and 6 words of self-reflection, that's what we remind people around the world. And I think the more we can do that, I think the world is going to change for the better. It's already changing, one mask at a time. It's changing. People are becoming more aware, and so I'm glad to be in this conversation. I'm so thankful to you and Dr. Marshall for inviting us here to let these young men have their voices heard. I think our world needs it. Our world needs to hear from our young people, and I do my best. I get excited, but I do my best to be quiet so they can do more of the talking, and make room for them too.
Well, you'll be back because we keep our eye on the work. We chart your progress. It's a movement. We want to check in on the movers and see how things are going. Because, like you say, hey, 1 mask at a time. I love that. 1 mask at a time.
Blessings to you and the masks as they go around the world.
Hey, everybody, that's it for tonight, Street Soldiers. Be back next week. It's going to be good as always. And check out the Ever Forward Club and the Million